fruition in collaboration with Innovation Depot. And Innovation Depot, as hopefully most of you have seen, is the first floor and all of the second floor. And Innovation Depot launched about a month ago. And it was kind of a soft launch because that's when we launched our cryptocurrency. But today is the, how do we call it, the official launch of our first but not last event called iTec. And what iTec is, I'm an engineer, and some of you know I have a passion for technology. And my mom, who's here, and my dad, just so you know, my mom and dad are here. My dad retired about 3 years ago at roughly, let's say, in his 90s. He's also an engineer, and he was one of the first entrepreneurs in Nigeria, after Nigeria got its independence in 1960. And so them parenting me has done a lot. But one thing I'm very passionate about is technology. And over the years, I started an incubator here in Houston, and our focus was entrepreneurship and engineers. But after the past 5 years, I realized that there were some missing pieces. And the missing pieces is what I believe today is what we are starting. And that is engineers. I believe that engineers should be part of new innovation. Why? Because engineers are the builders, they're the creators. They're typically very passionate about solving problems. And then you have the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs are the business minded. They look at a product, they look at an idea, they think of a strategy on how to get this product to market. And then you have the idea generators. These are the innovators. These are men and women. And if you're an idea generator, you can probably relate to this. These men and women have ideas that are constantly running through their mind. They can't rest. And the reason why I thought it'd be good to bring these three together, because you need someone that has ideas. You need someone that can build these ideas, and then you also need someone else that can put a business structure around it. And so again, welcome to iTec. This is our next one we're planning to do at the end of April, and it's going to be bigger and better. But since this is our first, I hope we really have a great time. We have some phenomenal people speaking today, and some more exhibits for you to take a look at. At this time, Michael's going to come up and he's going to introduce our first speaker. Thank you.
Let's give Mr. Okeke another wonderful round of applause. My name is Michael Deshawn. I will be your MC host tonight, and you can give me a wonderful round of applause. No idea how much preparation it took to look this good today. And I needed an applause to start. Anyway, we'd like to first welcome you out to the NuWorld Epicenter. As stated, the NuWorld Epicenter is a business, technology, and creative ecosystem where innovation meets collaboration. This is the world's largest technology and business incubator. This space is designed as a platform where creators of all types can engineer their ideas from conceptualization to materialization. Again, we welcome you to the NuWorld Epicenter, Innovation Depot, and Fruition Technologies Lab iTec event. Let's get one thing clear. Y'all gonna have to make sure you understand my cues. All right? It's gonna be a long thing if you don't understand my cues. We could have easily put on the doors. It's a thought that came to me today in preparation. The tagline, dreams are welcome. And the reason that is so significant is because it's the dreamer. It's the dreamer that is the one who carries that torch of inspiration that helps to bring all of what we see into fruition. So we're excited to welcome all of you who are dreamers, visionaries, engineers, people who believe in an idea and work their idea until they bring it into reality. Give yourselves a hand being a dreamer, a visionary. I'm going to give you a quote, but it's going to cost you if you use it. So you need a hashtag. But nature's laboratory is imagination. Nature's laboratory. Quote, Michael Deshawn. We go very smoothly today, but we want to thank you so much for coming out. We want to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is a very influential person in this community, and we're excited to have him with us here today, Mr. Steven Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez has over 30 years. He has applied his skills in vision, strategy, innovation, and fostering collaboration to benefit the human exploration of space. That's right. At the NASA Johnson Space Center, JSC, he led the team to develop the 20-year strategy for the center and was instrumental in creating numerous strategic initiatives that connected NASA to the entrepreneurial and innovation community in Houston, including the creation of the SpaceCom Conference and Exposition. Mr. Gonzalez has been embedded in the innovation ecosystem in Houston during his tenure as the NASA Executive Liaison at the Houston Technology Center and at the NASA Executive Liaison at the Greater Houston Partnership. During his time at the Greater Houston Partnership, he created a stronger alliances between NASA and the startup community and strategized with the Greater Houston Partnership leadership on the future direction of the innovation ecosystem in Houston. Earlier in his career, Mr. Gonzalez instructed the crew of the Space Shuttle Columbia STS-65 mission on the vehicle computer and navigation system. He received his Master's of Science at Texas A&M University and his Bachelor's in Computer Engineering at Boston University. Would you please put your hands together and help me to welcome Mr. Steven Gonzalez.
So, I'm one of those dreamers. I was brought here because of a dream that started back in New York City. You see, it was originally the original Star Trek series that got me to NASA. I wanted to be James T. Kirk. I wanted to be on the deck of the Starship Enterprise. And I remember back in the 8th grade having this vision, having this dream. And I remember putting together my classes for high school. And I went in and put together a college prep program. I went to see my guidance counselor, and I showed her my program, and she looked at it, and she said, this is a college prep program. And I said, absolutely. And she looked at my last name and looked at me, and she says, I think you're better suited for auto repair or auto mechanic. Anything that didn't require a degree. And I said, I'm going to be the first one in my family to go on to college. I'm going to go to work for NASA. And so here I am after 30 years at NASA, and what got me there, as I said, was Star Trek. But it's amazing that over the years I've been able to present to so many different audiences. And not everyone connects with the Star Trek vision. And people ask, for everything that we do up in space, why the investment? Isn't there more things we can do with that money back here on Earth? And so over the years I've tried out different ideas. I said, originally, we go to space because it is part of our manifest destiny. If we don't explore, we won't continue to expand as a species. And that makes sense to a lot of people, connect to some people, but still, too much investment, they say, doesn't make sense to me. So then I'll say what Elon Musk or Stephen Hawking or other visionaries will say, that we need a second home. We need to make sure that we have a place to go, that we are a multiplanetary species. And it's a great idea, but again, people say, why build a second home? I mean, we should take care of this one right here. And so at the end, the one that connects and the one that seems to make the most sense and the one that is relevant for the audience here today is that we do this because of the impossible challenges that we solve. When we went to the moon, we answered questions. We came up with solutions we never dreamed of. In order to be able to get to the moon, we transformed the electronic industry. When we went to the moon, we transformed science as we know it. And when we go to Mars, the orders of magnitude of difficulty that
to accomplish that mission will be so much beyond what we can think of today. And how that will transform life on Earth, how it will transform renewable energy, renewable water, renewable resources, are things that we never can't even imagine today. And so we do this, we try to get to Mars and we go further because we turn science fiction into reality. We solve the impossible. We solve problems that we never considered. And this is what I saw today upstairs, where ideas and dreamers are coming up with solutions, and we keep pushing the envelope and doing that. And some of the things that we do is what I'll share with you this afternoon. Some of the places where our technology in space has transformed life here on Earth. But before I do that, let me talk a little bit as far as where is NASA going, because a lot of people continue to think that with the end of the shuttle program, NASA is shut down, but in reality, our great years are still ahead of us. And so next slide, please. Under this administration, luckily, the thing that is last between the two administrations is that we're still going to Mars. Right now, in the mid-2030 time frame is when we're planning to send humans to Mars. And in order to get there, the midway point has changed. Originally, we were talking about an asteroid, and now we're talking about building a facility around the moon to allow our astronauts to be able to, from that facility, descend onto the lunar surface, and to be able to understand how to live for long duration on another surface. Because for us to go to Mars, it's about a 3-year mission. 6 months to get there, 1.5 years on the planet, while we wait for the Earth and Mars to be able to line up again for a short 6-month trip back to Earth. So we need to be able to understand how to use the resources, how to use the soil there to extract out hydrogen and oxygen, to be able to create water, air, as well as fuel for our return back. And on the way there, we're still in space around the Earth on the International Space Station. And this vehicle helps us to understand how do we allow astronauts to be able to live in space, to be able to live off the Earth. And if you turn to the next slide, you'll see that vehicle that has been up there now for the last 20 years, and for the last 18 years, we've had an astronaut, a Houstonian there on that vehicle continuously for the last 18 years. We have 6 astronauts up there right now on space station conducting their experiments. Oh, poor thing. Oh, it looks like that didn't make it through. So, for the last 18 years, we've had experiments that have continued to conduct on the space station, helping us to understand how to transform life here on Earth. In space, we do cancer experiments where the cancer cells in space behave differently than they do on the ground. Because of the microgravity environment, we're able to see things. We had one experiment that was done up there looking at the salmonella virus. And that virus is much more aggressive in space. And because of that, we were able to discover a vaccine that is working this way through the FDA. So that vehicle is an asset that's here in Houston, and that where entrepreneurs and startups through NASA, through another organization, are able to get their experiments up there and to be able to use that platform to advance the technology. And in the meantime, what NASA is doing on the next slide is building that vehicle to be able to get us to the moon. The Orion spacecraft is being actually built here in Houston. The management of that is out of the Johnson Space Center. It is a vehicle that will take 4 astronauts to the moon. It is riding on top of the service module being developed by the European Space Agency. So the International Space Station that was made up of 14 nations coming together, creating a new way for us to be able to work internationally. We're leveraging that in order to build the Orion vehicle, and it be launched on top of a rocket known as the Space Launch System that is being developed out of NASA out of Huntsville, Alabama. And so all of this is seeding the technology, seeding the activities that are transforming life here on Earth, that are creating innovation. And the next slide, you see my favorite. Oh, I'm sorry, jumped up ahead. So finally, the last thing is the Deep Space Gateway. This is the platform that we're talking about on the moon that will be up there in the mid-2020s, where we'll send our astronauts there. They'll be able to conduct experiments up there, get down on the planet's surface, and hopefully from there be able to launch to Mars. And then finally, on the next slide is what I was talking about. The innovations and technologies and capabilities that are enabled from us working with other industries. About 6 years ago, NASA, the strategy that we had put forward that Michael had mentioned earlier, that NASA knew that we could no longer afford to the space exploration, the challenge that was given to us to be able to go to Mars, we couldn't do with the investments that the government was giving us. And so we had to figure out a new way to be able to do this. And we worked with other industries to be able to advance the technology, both for benefit life here on Earth and for up in space. And we have things like in the middle, you have a partnership with General Motors that needed some advanced technology for their manufacturing capabilities in the plants, and we needed a robotic capability up in space. And so we came up with Robonaut. That capability has the most advanced hand manipulation for being able to use the same equipment the astronauts use, has the most advanced visual perception and software that protects the astronauts or humans near it. From that technology, we created a glove that is working its way through the system that allows, we took it to the VA hospital, and that glove, when we took it to veterans that returned that had nerve damage, put the glove on and said it's the easiest device they've ever used to be able to regain the use of their hand. They've taken it over to the automotive industry, and they use it to be able to remove the pressure that they have in the carpal tunnel syndrome that they get from that when they're lifting up windows to put into car doors. On the bottom right-hand side, we have augmented reality, the things that we're doing with the different glasses that are out there. There's a wonderful woman by the name of Evelyn Morales who heads up the team down at Johnson, and she's able to advance the technology for allowing the astronauts to do a lot of 3D and VR training and AR training to be able to get ready for their flights on board Space Station. And then in the offshore rig community, we have sensor technology that we have developed that was spun out to a couple of companies here in Houston to be able to advance their operations and be able to understand how those rigs perform in the platform. Next slide, please. But this one is my favorite. This one here, Texas Children's Hospital come to us and said, we have these children that when they get transported from room to room, these premature infants, the vibrations will damage their internal organs, and a lot of them will die because of the vibrations that they're subjected to from the gurney that they're in. And so they asked, do we have any technology? And for us, the astronauts train on board Space Station 2 to 3 hours. Every day they exercise in order to be able to maintain their muscle strength and their bone strength. And so we have expertise on how to dampen out those vibrations, because if we don't, all the experiments on the space station will get destroyed or will get ruined. And so we took that expertise in the facilities here in Houston, and working with Texas Children, we were able to create a platform so that these children now, when they get moved from facility to facility, hospital to hospital, room to room, they're traveling as if on a ship with their internal organs. Or the next one, where we have technology that came from actually a Houston startup company through a program that I'll talk a little bit more about, small business and innovative research, where we were trying to figure out how do you allow two vehicles up in space to be able to autonomously dock with one another. And my wife is actually a recipient of this, and she had LASIK eye surgery, and the technology that enabled that actually came from that company. Because what allowed the precision docking in space allows the precision that's required for LASIK eye surgery. So it was a spin-off from that technology. Or in the next program here, we have the cell phone. People love to, whenever we talk about presented on technology, people always talk about the great technology that we have, Tang and Velcro. Those were always the ones that came from NASA, and as much as I love to admit, the reality is that neither one of those came from NASA. The truth of the matter is that the camera that is used every day by our children to be able to Snapchat, to be able to post on Facebook, to FaceTime, came from NASA. There was an engineer out in California at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory that was challenged with how do you take these images on some of the probes and put it onto an electronic system. And that has now transformed the industry from, and I love the quote that Eric had from his friends. He says, when he was trying to develop the technology, all of his colleagues said, what, are you an idiot? That can't be done. And again, it goes back to the dreamers that we see here today. Next slide. And that same team out in California, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, when they send their vehicles out into space, they're trying to detect these tiny little signals. They're trying to understand signals from the planets, from the radiation, from the magnetic fields all around them as they're traveling through space. And they have to detect the smallest of signals, the smallest of sounds, and trying to weed that through from all the other information that they're getting. And so a company came out to us and created Finder, this program, this application, this tool that is able to detect the hint of small signals amongst all of the other sounds. And so they went out here after the earthquake in Nepal, and they were able to use this system, and even though things were still falling, things were still crumbling and settling, they were able to detect the heartbeat of someone, and we were able to find 4 people that were still alive through the technology that came from NASA. Next slide. Closer to home. We have this tape that was taken from a tech company that when we have a shuttle launch, a lot of times we would have these small leaks that would come from the hydrogen connections that we had to be able to fuel the vehicle. And hydrogen is odorless, it is colorless, and so it's hard to detect. And so we have created this tape, and once put it on there, we quickly change its colors and then able to detect, and we're able to. One mission actually got scrubbed because of the leak, used the tape, and we were able to turn on the vehicle, and now after that mission, every flight was used, every mission had that tape around the connection. And now they're taking that out into the petrochemical industry to be able to help the maintenance of their systems. Next slide. Another favorite of mine. I was born in New York City, grew up in that area, and this building here is actually in Brooklyn. And it was a technology that came from a rocket that we were building. It was a very thin rocket, and one of the challenges we had with this rocket was when we launched it, it would oscillate and vibrate, and left unchecked, it would continue to vibrate and oscillate until it would blow up the rocket. And so we had developed some technology to be able to keep that from happening. And so this company here, on the building over here to the left, the 12 one, they tried a new design. It was actually more of a Lego building block type of system construction. So instead of having the tall girders, steel girders that keep it rigid, this modular architecture made it a little bit more not as rigid, not as sturdy. So when the wind came, it would shake the building. So they were having challenges for people to buy the penthouse suites when they have the building going back and forth. And so with NASA, we work with them, and we have the technology that actually, if you were to Google that building, you'll see on top of there these two large tubes with liquid in there, and the technology we have, and now this building no longer sways from the technology from that rocket. Next slide, please. And finally, the Orion spacecraft, the one that I showed you before, that has taken our astronauts to the moon. One of our challenges we have is that, like we did in Apollo, we're going to be bringing these astronauts back to Earth on parachutes. But this is a much bigger vehicle, different parachutes are required, different technology. And we had to be able to see, as these parachutes deploy, what's going on, any tangling going on, how do these things unfurl. And so we were going from when the parachutes are encased, complete darkness, all of a sudden pops out, complete light, how do you make that camera transition without any loss of footage? And also they were capturing terabytes worth of information, cameras couldn't handle that. That technology allowed us to be able to transfer it over to the auto industry, and you'll see there's two cameras, one on the left of the car and one on the right, that is being used for crash tests to be able to improve the safety of cars and vehicles around the world. So next slide. And then finally, in this project here, it's a wonderful technology that came from NASA. So most of the stories I've shared are for the benefit of humankind. But in this one here was a wonderful woman by the name of Constance Adams, a friend of mine, that was part of this team on the left that created this inflatable habitat. And what we're trying to figure out when we send our astronauts into the moon and Mars, how to give them more space so that they're not so crowded and compact in. And so our challenge was, the larger the habitat, the bigger rockets are required, the larger, more propulsion needed. To create one that's inflatable, it would allow us to create something smaller and send up to space. So from that technology, a guy in Vegas by the name of Bob Bigelow created Motel 6. He wanted to be able to create the first hotel up in space, license our technology, spun it out, has a 2/3 scale version of it up in space, waiting for the Uber ride to be able to take his paid customers up to his hotel. So in the meantime, while he's waiting for that, he said, NASA, you probably could use some more space on the space station, you could probably use some more closet space. And so technology that we developed, spun out, he matured, put the investment in, we were able to spin back in, and now that thing was launched and is attached to the space station about 2 years ago. Next slide. And so this is just a tip of the iceberg. What I've shared with you is just a small sampling of all the technology that we've moved out. And every year we put forward on our spin-off magazines more and more technologies that have transformed life here on Earth. Next slide, please. And my hope, my ask, and part of what I do at NASA is trying to figure out how do we take our technology and connect it out to entrepreneurs, to people with ideas, people with vision. Because NASA has about 1,400 technologies. And what you see in red are those technologies that have been licensed. What you see in blue, the opportunity for entrepreneurs, for inventors, for dreamers. So only about 20% of our 1,400 have been licensed. And we've got 80% that are still available for those people that wanted to create companies. Next slide, please. And if you go to that website, you'll see our technologies are grouped into 15 different areas. So if you've got a passion for medical or energy industry, or if you've got a passion for information technology, you can go in there and you'll find the technology. And in every technology, there's a 2-page that talks about what the technology is, what challenge we were trying to solve, what we thought might be some of the applications for life here on Earth, as well as a link to be able to get to the patent application. And then from there, you can actually try to license the technology. Next slide, please. And if hardware is not your thing, if you like software, we got 1,000 applications that are available for the community to be able to get access to our software. And same thing, 15 different categories for people to go after. Next slide, please. And Startup NASA, a program that we introduced about 3 or 4 years ago, trying to reduce the barriers for entrepreneurs that want to access our technology. So for startups, if they wanted to get a license with technology, first 3 years, no licensing fees. You're able to get our technology, and we thought that giving companies a runway to be able to generate revenue, and after the 3rd year, when you start generating revenue, then the licensing fee kicks in, and it's a very small amount that's required. Next slide, please. And for those entrepreneurs that are out there, if you're not familiar with it, at the end of this month, there was an activity going on in Houston called SpaceCom that was mentioned earlier in the introduction. They have an entrepreneur summit. I believe applications are still open for that if you wanted to apply for that program. At the end of the event, they'll be giving the partnering up with Google Cloud Services and providing about $100,000 worth of prizes and services to the winning startup. Next slide. And then finally, looking for more organizations, more opportunities to be able to move our technology out. We're doing a wonderful collaboration with Canon. We've done, last month we launched an activity with New York where we can move our technology to New York, trying to do things in Boston, working with UT Rio Grande Valley as well as with New Mexico, looking for someone that would take the lead, that would organize the entrepreneur community, the acceleration programs, the investment community, bring them all together to move our technology out. And so if there's anyone else that's interested in working with us, along with Wes and I have been talking about this for years, to be able to move this out, it would be great to be able to find a new venue to move our technology to transform life on Earth. And I believe that's it. Thank you so much.
You do better than that. Let's give Mr. Gonzalez another wonderful round of applause. Please help me. I don't know about you, as much as I appreciate everything that he said, which is so important to understand how we are being impacted by technology, especially coming from NASA and the wonderful scientists who have done so much to impact the world, who's given us so much information. But he did open up on a statement about Star Trek. And I'm a Trekkie. And some of you were really quiet with me when he spoke about that. I just want to make, do we have any Trekkies in here today? Come on, man. All right. So you may be familiar with this, right? I have to do it, you know? I have to do it. I'm sorry, but space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to seek out new life, right? Explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go. Can y'all finish this with me? To boldly go where no man has gone before. All right, let's give him another round of applause. You know, I was thinking here, before we introduce our next speaker, I was just thinking about my grandchild. I know it's hard to believe me being at 25 and a grandchild, right? But I do have a grandchild that's 2 years old. And he can take selfies. I mean, that's big, man. I mean, you have to realize how far we've come in technology. I remember the bag phone. Anybody remember the bag phones? You carry the big bag phones? And then the ones that look like big walkie-talkies, the bricks that look like walkie-talkies. I mean, we have come so far with technology to the point that you have computers that in your hand that can do what at one time only a room full of computers could do. So we have to really appreciate what technology brings to the world in the way of health, science, in the way of, in all forms, in all aspects of life, what technology and engineering brings to the world. So we're going to go right into our next speaker. You're going to need one of these. I say that emphatically. At some point in your journey in life, whether you're in business, whether you're in engineering, whether you're just living in a capitalistic society. We have our next speaker, Mrs. Layla Lumpkins. Layla concentrates her legal practice in business transactions, including debt and equity financing, mergers and acquisition, venture capital, and private equity fund formation, commercial contract drafting, serving as outside general counsel to companies. She enjoys working with entrepreneurs and began representing them during law school as a student clinician in the Blum Legal Clinic Entrepreneurship Law Center. In serving her clients, whether early stage companies or multinational corporations, she is also able to draw on her experience before law school, working in finance and accounting at a Fortune 50 company. As I said, you're going to need one of these at some point in the end. But please help me to receive Miss Layla Lumpkins, attorney Layla Lumpkins.
Thank you. Well, I think it's really hard to follow space, for sure. So especially with the law. But I will do my best. I am here to just provide a high-level overview of kind of legal things to think about when you're an entrepreneur and protecting what you're building, especially when you're collaborating. So I'll start off with a little bit, next slide, about me so you can understand my perspective. So you heard a little bit about my background. I'm actually a native Houstonian, third generation, a proud Maryland Oiler. And my undergrad studies were in business. So I spent some time as a manufacturing auditor at P&G and then went on to law school. So I'm not an engineer at all by training, but I was raised by engineers. So my dad was a mechanical engineer, my mom electrical, my brother is an audio electrical engineer. So I like to think that I am process-oriented in a lot of respects and understand the woes of engineers wholeheartedly. But I escaped. I said I'm going to be a social engineer. I'm going to be a lawyer. But found myself on the business side, and so in part what you'll see is a lot of my career I spent in Chicago and became a part of the Chicago ecosystem and relocated back home recently and have joined the startup ecosystem in Houston. So I have spent a lot of my time practicing in the corporate side, but it has been pretty diverse and spent some time exclusively working with startups and even now more recently become an angel investor. So I have kind of all those perspectives that I bring to this discussion. So next, please. So just I have to be a lawyer and tell you that this is not legal advice. This is my disclaimer. By me making this speech, I am not becoming your attorney. We're not starting a relationship. So this is just general information. And it will be really high level. So there's a lot of nuances and specifics that you'll have in your business that I'm not going to cover by what I'm talking about today. All right. So as part of the discussion, I want to provide a little framework. So some of this is information that you guys may have or have experienced from working in your businesses, but otherwise it may give you a little bit more context of why you're doing some of the things that you do and give you the ability to ask questions. So I'm just going to start with some foundational concepts and assumptions, and then we'll go on to talk about protection of different in different capacities. Next slide, please. Okay. So the assumption is you're building a business as an entrepreneur, so you're commercializing an idea, right? So that requires that you have to share information. You have to share your idea with a lot of people potentially. So with potential business partners or co-founders, with employees and people that you employ, independent contractors, suppliers, and potentially investors. So in order to make sure as you're commercializing that idea that you're retaining value, there's some legal protections that you can put in place. So you have to use discretion, there has to be trust with the folks that you work with, but there are some things that come out of the law that you're able to utilize in putting together a business and putting together a team. So the way that we break these down is looking how do you protect ideas and inventions, how do you protect assets that are not a part of your business, and then how do you, what's protection when you're collaborating with others to build something? Next. And you have to go again in another one. Yeah, keep going. A few more slides till we get to more words. Okay. So just to start initially, right, so this is when you first have an idea. Some initial protections are of confidential information and the ability to assign rights, and this is in intellectual property. So you can protect confidential information through a contract. So some of you may be familiar with this. You've heard of a non-disclosure agreement, or it's also called an NDA for short, a confidentiality agreement. So these are, you enter into these with people that you work with, so potential business partners, owners, employees, contractors, anyone who you're discussing your idea with. So what also becomes important, so you want to do that as much as you can to have people sign NDAs. Some people won't sign them, like there's some venture capitalists that they won't sign an NDA, and you want their money, so you'll let them do that. And so then there's other folks that will, and you'll ask that question. What also becomes important, a contract that you can enter into, is assigning rights to intellectual property. So if the ownership in intellectual property is supposed to be with you as the person with the idea, you want to make sure anybody who's working on helping you develop your idea is assigning their intellectual property rights to you. So I'm going to touch on some different types of intellectual property rights, again, at a very high level. They're very complex concepts, but just to expose some people to them, and again, just maybe give you some additional insight. So talk about patents. So a patent is a right granted by, in this case, the U.S. government, to an inventor for a limited amount of time to exclude others from being able to make, use, offer, to sell, or sell an invention. So that becomes important because you have this really strong right, but it's difficult to obtain. So there's two main types of patents. We know utility patents for something that you're creating that's useful, but there's a pretty high standard there that has to be novel, and it has to be non-obvious. So this covers all types of processes, manufacturing of goods, chemicals and biological components. So you may be familiar with this. And also for design patents for doing original ornamental designs in the manufacturing space, or molds, or things that are not necessarily just have a useful purpose, but they also have a different shape or a different look to them. So the question is, when do you seek a patent? Initially, it's when you get to a point where you're able to reduce it to practice. You can draw it, write it down, but you also have the access to materials to be able to produce it. But what's more interesting about when to seek a patent is weighing the cost and time of pursuing a patent versus the ability to actually commercialize it and make it a product. What is challenging about seeking a patent, the process takes a lot of time and it can take a lot of cost. So we're talking about years of time, thousands of dollars to be spent. In order to do that, you want to make sure that you actually have an idea that's going to have commercial value to outweigh the time and cost that you've spent. And this is something you have to balance with being able to file first. So one of the things that's shifted in obtaining a patent is not that you're the first to invent it, you're the first to file, but again, you're balancing this with this, or it's a delicate balance with you actually have a commercial idea that's going to pay out for the time that you spent to develop the patent. So another intellectual property right is in copyright. So I'll touch on software because we're technology focused here. So copyrights attached to original works of authorship that are fixed in a tangible medium. So you may be more familiar with them in the music space, or also for writers are able to develop copyrights, but they can also apply to software because if source code and object code are fixed in a tangible medium of expression, those are also subject to copyright. So registration isn't required in order to obtain a copyright, but it may have some added protections, but that's a difficult thing to balance because registration also requires that you partially deposit some of your source code and publicly disclose it, which goes against the protection of keeping it secret. We'll talk about trade secrets in a little bit. Or if you have a contract, for instance, a confidentiality agreement, where you say you're not going to disclose, or this person can't disclose information, if you've made a public disclosure, then that goes against your ability to be able to say that it's protected under that agreement if you've made public disclosure of it. But I think the more compelling piece of copyright disclosure is that if you software is constantly changing. So you've gone through and you've copywritten source code that you've developed, and then it's changed, and so you don't have the protection that you would have had anyway. So usually people get away from registration and rely on other forms of intellectual property protection. One thing that it's important to note about just the development of software generally in the copyright protection is that the copyright rights automatically vest in the person who actually developed or who did the work. And so you want to make sure that you have that assignment of rights of any work that's being done, so that you make sure that the copyright is in the company and not in the person, or it's transferred to the right place, whoever the rightful owner should be of the copyright. Next slide. So another intellectual property right are trademarks, which can be just as important as patents and copyrights. So this is what's tied to your brand. So the symbol, the color, noise, all of these things can be trademarks. So some very famous examples are the Apple, for the Apple computers, also the Nike swoosh, or things that we're all familiar with. Even the name Google is something that is trademarkable and is significant. So this is but it's your brand. It's considered to represent the goodwill that you have in providing products or services. So trademarks are secured by actually using them in commerce. So they're not something that you need to register for, but the issue is if you have a trademark that is unregistered, the right only applies to the territory in which you actually use it. So you have the opportunity to register, which is also a timely process with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, which it makes it it's federally registered if you do that, and so you have broader protection of your brand. The importance of your brand and what it says about your company, your image, can just be just as important as the underlying product. So those things go hand in hand in your ability to protect whatever it is that you're building. So running through this really quickly, the last thing I'll talk about is trade secrets. So a trade secret is information that derives value from it being not known by others in the market. And if they could generate economic value from it, and you are generating economic value, then it's something that is worth protecting and can fall under the lens of trade secrets. So outside disclosure matters, eligible for protection. Some really famous ones you might be familiar with is like the Coca-Cola recipe or the Google algorithm are trade secrets that are protected under this intellectual property right or common law. So there's not a registration requirement for trade secrets or a procedure, but what's really important about trade secrets is that you're actually keeping it secret. So there's reasonable processes in place to make sure that the information is kept apart from other public information that's disclosed to your customers or the public in general. So we talked about protecting your intellectual property, and so I just want to talk broadly about protecting other assets. So if you're already established and have your own assets, there are those assets that you want to protect from the potential liabilities of the business. So how that usually happens is to form an entity. So an entity is an organization that has a legal identity apart from its owners. So you may be familiar with hearing about corporations and limited liability companies. Those are entities that you're able to form with the Secretary of State of whatever state that you choose. Oftentimes you'll see it's Delaware. For those of you that's come up before. And the reason that is because Delaware has a specialized court that is focused on corporations and business and has made itself a place to go for businesses and a place that's familiar for investors. However, if you have a good idea, no one's going to say, I'm not going to invest in your business because you're not incorporated in Delaware. It could be a sign of just sophistication, that you know what's coming, that you're looking for investors, that you decided to form in Delaware, but it definitely isn't something that would stop you from getting invested in. So it's not a final decision that you have to be in Delaware, but it does come up a lot. So why would you need an entity? So as I mentioned, kind of the fundamental reason why you want to have an entity, why you want to go start this company, is for the protection from personal liability. So if you don't have an entity, the liabilities of the business become the liabilities of the owner. So an example is if the business is sued for something that happens with the product, then potentially your personal assets could be at risk. So in order to avoid that, by forming an entity that's a separate legal person that's able to own its own assets and incur its own liabilities, you separate your house, for instance, from getting susceptible to any liabilities that could come up or debts that could be incurred as a result of the business. Okay. So oftentimes people decide, I have an idea, I need to start an entity, and maybe not. So that's not what creates a business, just by forming an entity. So some of the triggers that I think are helpful to think about for when to start an entity is basically around when would you be subject to liabilities. So selling products, offering services where you're interfacing with customers is one sign that you should have an entity in place. Another one is when you start doing business with partners. So there's a formal collaboration. There's another potential there for liabilities for you as an individual that could be incurred by somebody else. Otherwise, if you're developing intellectual property, you decided your business is centered around a patent, for instance, that's another trigger where having an entity helps you centralize ownership between multiple people. If you're signing contracts, for instance, you have a manufacturing agreement that you want to enter into, it would be helpful to do that in the name of the business so the obligations are not with you as an individual, with their obligations of the company. Then lastly, if you're raising money, so you decided to bring in investment, it's easier to centralize within an entity structure and provide different rights for your investors. Okay. So the last step is just to talk a little bit more about collaborating when you're collaborating with others. So we kind of talked about how an entity can help with that structure. Go to the next slide, please. But just forming an entity is not enough. So you need to, think more about what could happen if someone else in the business, one of the founders, leaves for whatever reason, leaves because you guys can't get along and it's not working out, or leaves because of they have a disability or pass away, something unfortunate. So, and essentially, like not just getting along, but if the person isn't doing the amount of work that's necessary to move the business forward and is not pulling their weight, is another trigger that sometimes often causes issues. So in order to address that, giving out equity is a difficult thing to do, to figure out who should own what. But aside from that, once you do decide, well, this person's going to have half the business, I'm going to have half the business, how do we decide if this person's no longer involved to what they should keep when they're done? So, for instance, I'll give you a scenario. If we have two people that own a business, we're going to break the business up into shares, and so we have 200,000 shares of the business. What you often see is that you make equity subject to vesting. So over time, you get to keep only so much of the business. So a typical vesting structure is 4 years. So in our scenario, if you own half the business, you have 100,000, you get 25,000 a year. So after 2 years, if for whatever reason you depart from the business, we can have the conversation and say you only get to keep half. So the one person owns 50,000, the other person owns 100,000, and so instead of having half the business leaving after a couple of years, you only have a third. So it's a very helpful way to make sure that there's equity in the business when people are not able to stay or things change. It's a difficult conversation to have, but it helps when you already have a structure in place to be able to have it. So I know I walked through a lot of things quickly, but these are just really some key steps to think about as you're building your business and making sure that you're in the best place as an entrepreneur to build something just with yourself, but also to build something in collaboration with others. Thanks.
Let's give Attorney Lunkins another wonderful round of applause. Thank you. At this time, we're going to break for about 45 minutes, and I want to direct you all to please go up to our Innovation Depot Lab, where there are exhibits on display for you, people who have their technology and engineering projects. We want you to go, but we need you to also grade those. Make sure you follow up with us on that, but grade what you see, their designs, and whatever you see in that regard. So if you'll be back here in approximately 45 minutes. Thank you so much. start in about 60 seconds roughly, okay? So thank you so much for being patient.
1 minute pitches.
Yeah, 1 minute about 60 seconds. Right? I said, how's everybody doing? Is that better? Okay, now we got a hot mic. All right. okay. That was from a comedy. You guys didn't catch that. It was good material. I worked on it all week. I'm kind of surprised that you guys didn't catch that. So we were doing good together all day. Anyway, nonetheless, I thought you were the smart crowd. But, hey. Anyway, we're excited about this next portion of our program. We are about to start the pitch. The pitch consists of 5 companies, each given an allotment of 3 minutes, with a following 2-minute Q&A from the panel only. We are going to start our pitch right now, ladies and gentlemen. So can you put your hands together for our first group, which will be given 3 minutes, of which we're going to say, cut it. And they have to cut it, because you have to cut it. Cut it. Okay. All right. Back to our program. Our first pitch group is Aquafix. Can you please come front and center? Thank you. Put your hands together for Aquafix.
Yes.
She's going to be giving you the time.
Fast forward 50 years. Water is declining rapidly and population is growing exponentially. Imagine if your grandchildren didn't have access to clean water. Now, what if I told you that desalination is the answer? Next. Introducing Aquafix Solutions. We are a NASA-patented water recovery solutions technology. Next. Our vision is to make clean water more accessible using alternative water recovery solutions. And our mission is to use our chemical solution to improve water recovery process and desalination plants. Next.
So the current problem that desalination plants face today is that they're extremely expensive to run, they consume a lot of energy, and due to excess waste, they pose negative effects to the environment. Next. So we're a simple additive solution to the pre-treatment process, which facilitates into step 2, the reverse osmosis phase, which then in return is led to step 3, the conditioned disinfection phase, which then the water is used for its intent. Next. So our solution acts as a biocide, which kills all bacteria in the water. It also reduces the amount of solids in the water by 90%, therefore increasing water recovery in the plant by 15%, and overall increasing the lifetime of the plant. Next.
So this is our team. We consist of 5 undergraduate students from the Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Houston. We also have our NASA inventor, Dean Muirhead, and we have 2 advisors, Erica Flores and a PhD graduate from MIT. Next. So for our traction strategy, our inventor already built a minimal viable product, and it's our job to tailor it to the desalination plants. How we're going to do that? We are going to partner up with our key partners, which are chemical solutions, or chemical manufacturers and distributors, and research facilities. Next. So for year 1, we are seeking $35K. That's to retest our prototype and also to proof of concept. Year 2, we will seek another $155 for beta customers and marketing. Year 3, we will acquire 5 contracts. Year 4, 10. And year 5, we're going to do our exit strategy at 6 times earnings. Next.
For market validation, we contacted these desalination plants as shown, as well as the U.S. Navy. Next. We got a call from Jose Garza from South Coast, and he validated that they will actually use our chemical solution in their process. Next.
So our competitive advantage is because we are a 3-in-1 solution, meaning we have all of those. And our competitors only test positive for biocide chemical, which means they prevent growth of bacteria. We're the only one that can increase the water by 15%. Next.
Now take a look at the global market. Our revenue model is that we expect to turn a profit by year 2. Thanks.
We are Aquafit Solutions. Thank you very much.
Let's give him a hand. Wonderful job. Thank you so much. So I think they have Q&A, 2 minutes worth of Q&A here. I'm going to take the mic to our panel of judges who, if they have questions for you. Yeah, you can take one mic. I add a line for that too, because all we need is one mic. Somebody here knows something about one mic. Okay. All right.
So you mentioned your exit strategy in 6 years. Who would you be looking to sell to?
So definitely, there's a couple of so we already talked with NASA, and they are willing to rebuy that if the company is very successful. There's also angel investors, and we also have the connection. We also have the connection with angel investors in Houston from the Angel Houston Network.
So have you done any studies on the cost savings or additional revenue that one desalination plant would get from using your technology?
Correct. Our main part on that is the energy, because it's very energy consuming. It will definitely save around like 6 billion to 8 billion annually with our solution, because we're increasing the water.
What scale have you done this at?
So that's what we're asking the $35K for, because we need to test this prototype on desalination plants. Since it's only be tested with NASA and their NASA products, we want to bring this to the desalination market. Therefore, our first step would be to retest the minimum viable product for desalination. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Let's give Aquafit another hand. All right. Wasn't that pretty good? They did a really good job, didn't they? That's my favorite person. I'm neutral. Where's our attorney? I remain neutral. I'm just making it clear. Our next. I'm going to pull this up. Our next pitch group, again, 3 minutes, time limit, and then you have to do what? Come on now, I need some audience participation. My goodness. Y'all gotta do better than this. This is the technology and engineering. You're the smart people. Okay, 3 minutes and they have to do what? All right. And then we have 2 minutes of Q&A from our panel. Our next pitch is, I hope I'm saying this right, cruising. All right, cruising. Put your hands together for cruising.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gordon Taylor, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Cruising. I want to start the presentation off with a few questions. How many people have traveled here? Okay. How many people love to travel? Okay. A few people, just a few people. How many people love to actually plan their travel? Okay, that's a little bit what I expected. Next slide, please. So, at Cruising, we believe that you are going through a lot of stress when you're traveling. Vacation's supposed to be fun though, right? Right? You're supposed to hang out at the beach, chill, and have a great time. But a lot of questions are going through your head. Is this TripAdvisor review actually for me? What's the difference between a 3-star and a 5-star? You know, how can I get a local experience in Lusaka, Zambia? And a number of other questions, actually. Next slide. This didn't just happen to everyone here, but it's also happened to me and also my friends just last night. So you can't see this screen, but last night some of my friends from Africa were talking about New Year's. I mean, that's 2 months away, right? but they're talking about going to Saudi Arabia, to different places across the world, asking, how should I do this? When should I do it? Who do I do it with? Well, at Cruising, next slide, we are a social travel network that allows for people to connect, and we open people to the world, to discover themselves. Next slide. Our ethos is to be able to open people to the world, help you discover the world and discover yourself, and hopefully you'll make some meaningful connections along the way. Next slide. Next slide. So we have some awesome product that has some great features, and I'll name a few of them. So everyone has a bucket list here, whether you have it written down or not. And that bucket list includes things that you want to do for the rest of your life. Well, we want to take that bucket list and make it a digital form to help you achieve that over your lifetime. And from there, we're actually allowing for you to bring your friends in. Your friends, your family, your next door neighbor, or maybe somebody that you actually traveled with before. We're calling it your travel tribe. And we want you to bring those people onto our platform and travel with them around the world. Next, please. And so, in terms of milestones and achievements, we've had over 20,000 trips over our platform over the last 3 years. And that has been awesome for us because we've been able to learn what people want to do. We've done this mostly at college campuses, and we're actually expanding to our first city, which is the city of Houston. On January 15th, 2019, Mayor Turner will call it Cruising Day. And so we hope that you can join us at City Hall for Cruising Day, but also we want you to cruise with us for the rest of your life. Thank you.
And now for our panel, do you have any questions for Cruising?
Do you have any destination partnerships with any cruise lines or any hotel chains or?
So actually, we just partnered with the Houston airport system. So in January and February, you'll actually be able to check into the Houston airport, Hobby or Bush, and check into essentially a next door community, but it's actually a travel community, where you can get on that message board and talk about, hey, I need to get to my hotel tonight, or does anybody want to actually meet for coffee, or where's Ben and Jerry's in the airport? And so we actually want to capture people at a zero acquisition cost in the airport, but also add a lot of value. And we have also worked with a couple of hotels, Hilton to be exact, and a couple other hotels that we're working with to get people to check into their hotel community.
Great, some partnerships. So are there any other sites that are like this or that are competing with yours?
Yes, so there is a site in Australia called Travello, and they have a different focus than us. Our long-term vision is to be able to tell you, to learn you so well that we can tell you what you should do, who you should do it with, and why you should actually go. And so they're focused on building more of a social network, more of an Instagram type feel, where we're focused on you finding your individual tribe. We believe that you don't have awareness of actually who's traveling today, whether it's your family, your friends. Just 2 weeks ago, I went to a Texans and Dolphins game, and I ran into 6 people that I knew at that game. But I wouldn't have found that out until later when I saw them actually post on Instagram. And so we want to make it real to where you can find them on your trip feed and actually take that trip with them.
What's your team size, and have you guys posted any revenue?
Yes. So we have 4 people on our team, 2 engineers, and 1 product guy, and then also myself on the business side. And then we've done a little bit over $350,000 in revenue, which we mostly do on bookings. So you can imagine getting commission, a percentage from hotels, any type of rental cars and other things.
Put your hands together for Cruising. Our next pitch group called Food Garage. I think Food Garage? Put your hands together for Food Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominic Nelson. I'm the co-founder of Food Garage. Next. We believe repurposing is the next wave of innovation. That belief comes to life in our product, the Yummy Box, in which we've discovered an innovative way to streamline takeout using lockers. Next. Restaurant inefficiency is the biggest problem in the restaurant industry. Most restaurants are attempting to solve for these issues on the move to the on-demand economy, but many of the solutions are not optimal for streamlining the takeout process. This is why many of us, when we arrive to restaurants after they tell us to be there, 15 minutes later, our food isn't ready. Or oftentimes we have to stand in line and wait to pick up our orders when it could have easily been given to us. Next. Our product is called the Yummy Box. We have partnerships with different restaurants, and ultimately our goal is to streamline the takeout process. So when it comes to takeout, ultimately individuals will be able to go to the Yummy Box, pick up their order in 3 simple steps: enter, open, and pick up. And for the operation on the restaurant side, we make operations more efficient by streamlining the takeout process, and we cut time for the customer. Next. And yes, the Yummy Box is physically located at restaurants. Next. Okay, of course we have competitors, but we do things differently. Our competitors have highly integrated locker systems or require infrastructure changes to the restaurant, like knocking down walls. We have the lowest cost to build, we have the fastest assembly time at 5 minutes, and our web app can be used on any locker system, making it the most diverse in the industry, and it only costs $2 a year to power the Yummy Box. Next. Okay, how do we make money? We sell the Yummy Box as a software as a service with feature-based pricing. As a restaurant grows, they can add more and more lockers. For an example, restaurant Wingstop does 70% of their orders as takeout. As that changes over the next decade, we can grow with them. Thank you. Next. Market size. All right, so our restaurant, there's 25,000 fast casual restaurants in the United States. We're targeting fast casual restaurants that serve millennials. Why? Because millennials eat takeout more than any other generation. They're 40% more likely to order takeout from restaurants, or order period from restaurants that are socially responsible. Next. All right, we have a 4-person team. My co-founder, Kobe Spain, has 3 years of restaurant management experience. We both have military backgrounds, and this is my second company out of college. Next. The rest of our team is filled with technologists, expert salesmen, and project managers with 15 years of experience. Next. Okay. The fourth quarter of this year is all about live testing our product and becoming a positive revenue generating company.
Okay, questions for Food Garage from our panel.
You said this year was about road testing your product. Do you actually have your product in any locations at the moment?
Not at the moment, no we do not. But currently, as of next week, we're meeting again to finalize some paperwork so we can test. I'm not able to say what restaurant, but I would say 2 weeks ago we met with Wingstop. We are on the verge of something big, and currently they're testing out a different concept, but they like ours because it's modular, it can grow, we can accommodate any size order, small, medium, and large, and they like the fact that we're a socially responsible company. Like I said, we're taking lockers that were traditionally used in office buildings and repurposing them. And yes, the lockers are brand new, they're not used, just to clarify that.
Do you need any kind of app integration, and if so, you already developed that?
The app is already developed. The fickle part about restaurants is they like when platforms are not necessarily integrated. If you take an example of Uber Eats, that platform stands alone. Why? Because the security and the aspects of the platform. So for us, we have a low integration method, and we're going to try to keep that throughout, but we're going to do it in a seamless manner so we can always connect.
So you mentioned you have a SaaS model. Can you explain that a little bit more, what the business model is?
Right. So our experiences from the last few weeks when we meet with restaurants is not everyone is inclined to buy lockers per se because they can't really justify how much these lockers cost. So we decided to go ahead and give the lockers for free. And as the SaaS model, we can have features that change. So we can partner with an Uber Eats or a DoorDash and offer that as an incentive to the restaurants to add different features.
Put your hand together. Thank you for Food Garage. Our next pitch is entitled Rex Connect. Am I saying that right? RX Connect. Okay, put your hands together for RX Connect. Thank you. How's everybody doing? Hello?
How's everybody doing? My name is Blaise Munyachi, the founder of RX Connect. An idea that was born while I was in nursing school doing my clinical rotations. I discovered the difficulties that patients face, specifically the filling and collection of prescriptions. RX Connect is an app-based platform that connects patients to clinicians and pharmacies. It solves their logistical issues and gets medication into their hands. From the very beginning, we focused on the market and built everything around that. Emphasis is on 60 million geriatrics, and that number is growing over the next decade. There are 50 million surgical procedures each year. And these people need assistance getting their medication post-surgery. 16% of the population have some mobility issues. Between 20 and 30% of prescriptions are taken back to the shelves because they are never collected. The benefits of our product have been split into two. Benefits for the pharmacy and the patient. For the patient, this gives unlimited access to the pharmacy. It is time convenient and cuts waiting time. It allows them to shop for discounts and coupons on our platform. And lastly, it provides affordable, flexible delivery, which is one of our revenue streams. For the pharmacy, it improves customer connection and boosts online sales. It enables the pharmacy to advertise on our platform, and this is another revenue stream. The delivery becomes an added value to the pharmacy's services. It reduces congestions in the store and reduces the percentage of uncollected prescriptions, which in turn add to sales for the pharmacy. The uniqueness of our system lies in that we utilize package sharing and the accumulation of packages at 2 to 3 hour intervals with a minimum of 10 packages. We also use geolocation of each pharmacy as a point to deliver from and keep the delivery distance under a 10-mile radius. These two methods make us unique and allow us to lower the cost of delivery and distance to $5 per package under a 10-mile radius. The process expedites prescription payments and cuts the percentage of uncollected prescriptions. It enables pharmacies to compete with Amazon and other online pharmacies in an ever-growing e-commerce market. In closing, on a side note, I just wanted to mention that CVS, Walgreens, and other leading chain pharmacies' stock market shares fell by 17.5 billion in 2 days after Amazon purchased PillPack and online pharmacies. This attests to the value it will add or bring to any pharmacy in the future, especially in the ever-growing e-commerce and on-demand market. I'll take questions now.
All right. Do you have any current relationships with pharmacies or doctor's offices?
We just finished building our app. We're still building our app. We're getting to our MVP, and we have already spoken to a few pharmacies which we'll be using to test the product. However, we have not approached most of the big chain pharmacies, but this is something that is very vital, and that's why I mentioned what happened earlier on this year. I mean, that's where the market is headed, the e-commerce market and the on-demand of anything that you want.
You mentioned the on-demand market and the current competition. If you're still at app stage, how are you intending to compete in that market?
Well, what makes us unique is that Amazon and other online pharmacies will not be able to lower the delivery price of any prescription. And we will focus on each pharmacy's geographical location, because you cannot go to the other side of town to pick up your prescription. Amazon has to deliver from their depot, and it will take longer. We will make it shorter and cheaper for you, using your neighborhood pharmacy as the location to deliver from. That will cut the distance and it will cut the cost of your delivery. We want to continue to work on this app and make sure that we get your medication to you in 3 hours from the time you leave the doctor's office.
Could you tell me about the stage of your product development and your team?
Well, I have web developers. I'm working under Fruition, and Fruition has supplied me with venture lead, marketing department, finance department, and as well as web development as well. The project right now is currently, we're still finishing up the development of the project, but we're very, I'm pretty sure we'll be done in the next few weeks at most.
Question. How do you scale your business, and how does that affect your ability to compete with an Amazon?
Okay. The scaling of the business is because the scaling of the business is very easy. We partner with the initial prescribers, the e-prescribing companies, which is over 60% of prescriptions that are written today are done online. So we do not need to work with any of those people.
Let's give RX Connection another hand. And moving right along, our next and final of the 3-minute presenters and pitchers is Smart Therapy. Let us welcome Smart Therapy to the podium.
Smart Therapy, users and therapists will have access to real-time data and daily updates that will allow for a more integrated process for the therapy application. Next slide, please. The problem. Currently, therapists utilize a goniometer to make measurements of extension and deflection. This allows patients to only have updates when they go to the therapist's office. Next slide, please. Our solution. Smart Therapy will be a wearable that will allow physical therapists and patients to track progress on a daily basis. Patients will be able to increase their motivation and accountability with this. Next slide, please. Other benefits. Increased transparency for the patient, exercise notification for the patient. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide again. So, what is Smart Therapy? A little bit more about us. This, using wearable silicon, we have created an application and we've created a wearable that, when put on, the user will be able to track their knee extension and flexion throughout our application. Next slide, please. Our mission is to serve as a platform for therapists and patients aiding in the recovery process from joint injury or rehabilitation. Next, please. Our team, but we're cut on time, so I'll skip over our team. We have a 6-person team. Next slide. Next slide again. So, this one. Yeah. So, wearable silicon is an emerging technology. Therefore, we don't have a ton of competitors. But of the competitors we have, we're the only one that offer biofeedback. Next slide. Next slide again. Next slide. Our market strategy. So, our CTO was a member of Rice football team, and I myself was a member of Trinity University golf team. We plan on introducing ourselves to athletic trainers first, to our early adopters of new technologies. Then we plan to extend to physical therapy. Next slide. Next slide. This wasn't the last slide. It hasn't been, obviously.
Let's give them a hand, folks. Good job. All right, questions from our panel.
So how do you make money?
Yeah, so this was the wrong slide. Sorry, so the last slide was supposed to be our business model. So our business model is subscription-based. Our plan is that for institutions, we'll give them a subscription we store their data and we analyze their data. Along with that, depending on the number of users, we'll sell individual suites. Sorry. option of if they want data analytics and tracking, then we'll allow them to buy a subscription. If not, then we won't. And they don't have to.
What's your current stage of development? What about sizes?
So our current stage, we have a prototype, a working prototype. Our CMO, Josh, has spoken with the Rice Athletic Department, and we plan on introducing it to them in the next 10 weeks.
And so does that working prototype include the software as well?
The working prototype includes an application. What we don't have yet is cloud-based storage, but we do have the analytics on the application.
And so have you done any assessments on the money or value that a customer could get from this? Like if Rice adopted this, like how fast can they get their players back on the field or something like that?
So we haven't done analysis of how much time it would save, but we've spoken to numerous people who've had joint surgeries, and one of the common complaints is that you only get updates whenever you go to the physical therapist. So you're sitting there weeks, maybe 2 weeks, where you have no update. Therefore, no motivation to continue to exercise, and it just becomes a bit difficult to keep track of where you are with the recovery process. So the intent of this is when you're wearing it, the physical therapist can upload exercises, or the athletic trainer can upload exercises for you to do, where you can track your progress and actually see real-time data that proves that you're increasing your range of motion.
So who is your actual customer?
So our actual customer will initially be training staffs and physical therapists. However, we intend it to be, obviously, it has to be used by the patient. So if someone was to want to buy this outside of one of those applications, then they would be able to.
Thank you so much. And if you thought that was tough, that kind of reminded me of like a speed dating, you know? Not that I've ever speed dated, but just something I heard one of my friends told me. You know? That was kind of tough there. I'm sorry. Light it up a little bit here. But good job to all of our pitchers. You did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Now, if you thought that was difficult, woo. This next group is in for a challenge, folks. Let me recompose here. Let me recompose. If you thought that was difficult, our next group is in for an even greater and more difficult challenge. Our next presenters, which is 9 companies, with approximately 1 minute to pitch. You can say it with me, wow. Come on, wow. Okay. But we're going to give them some good energy, right? But because yeah, that's right. Put your hands together for them. You know, I'm being humorous on purpose because it's humorous, but I do want you to know we take what people are doing very seriously. What you're doing is serious. This is your passion. This is your life. You're putting your resources, your time into it. So even though I'm being humorous, I don't want it to be taken that in any way we don't take what you're doing seriously. That's why we're here. That's why we created this space, because we want to give people an opportunity to build, to be successful. So that is our goal. That's our agenda. We want you to win. But we want to be serious about helping you to win. And that's why we got people who will critique you, people who will ask you questions. Because the more you go through that process, the more refined you become in how you present your product, the more refined you become in how you work out the kinks that may exist in your product. So don't take any criticism in a negative way. Take it in a positive way, because it's only going to help you to be successful. Amen? All right. All right now. All right, there you go. We got somebody in the house, right? We got some real folks in here. I'm glad we got some real people in here. Because I was kind of concerned in preparation. I thought I was going to be getting the looks like, but you guys are really nice. I appreciate you treating me so nice today. On to our next pitch. We have 9 pitches, 1 minute apiece. No feedback. So you got to go at it hard. First up is Auto Munge. Can you put your hands and help us to receive Auto Munge?
Hi there, I'm Nicholas Teague, lead presenting Auto Munge. So Auto Munge is a software tool for the preparation of data for the application of machine learning. taking as input some arbitrary structured set. The tool transforms the data into a form suitable for the direct application of machine learning and the framework of your choice, and it does so in a fully generalized and automated fashion. Further, current mainstream practice in the data science field is largely unsophisticated when it comes to dealing with missing data in a data set. The AutoMunch tool lowers the barrier to downstream learning by predicting infill to missing values using machine learning algorithms trained on the rest of the data in a fully generalized and automated fashion. It's been estimated by the year 2020, 2% of the US workforce will be active in the field of data science in some capacity. If we can make their jobs 1% easier, we'll achieve $1 billion in labor savings. The goal of the AutoMunch project is to be cut for time. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know about you, but for a minute there, I thought he was going to just like drop the mic. You know, like, that was amazing. Very good job, AutoMunch. Our next pitch is Guide Change. Put your hands together for Guide Change.
Imagine a family where one spouse pays the bills and the other spouse has nothing to do with the family finances. And well, the spouse that pays the bills dies. And the surviving spouse is left trying to understand what benefits they may be eligible for. They need to learn about the budget. And they're likely to be a victim of fraud because they're very susceptible and there's a lot of scams that target people in that position. And my company, Guide Change, uses technology to help the surviving spouse in 3 ways. One, we provide a detailed assessment that tells a person their current financial situation and how long their money may last. Second, we give them personalized recommendations based on their age and their lifestyle. And third, we provide education to empower the person to make smarter financial decisions for the rest of their life. So if you'd like to learn more of how we do that, come around after the event. Thank you.
Y'all can do better than that. He got it done. That's a good job. Absolutely phenomenal. Boy, reminds me of a story. I'll share it at the end, though, okay? Our next presenter, Lazarus 3D. Help us welcome Lazarus 3D. And I wanted to say her name, but I forgot it already.
Hi, everyone. My name is Preeti Zanabel, and I'm the co-founder at Lazarus 3D. And my slides are not up. All right, there we go. All right. So today, there is a massive problem with medical training, which is that doctors will learn surgery on a bell pepper, and then the next day they'll go and do surgery on you. And that, to us, is unacceptable. To address this gap, we have developed a proprietary technology that allows us to build amazing medical training models using 3D printing. These models are soft, so you can cut them. They replicate the mechanical properties of the real human tissues. So here are some photos of our medical models that have been used for patient-specific cases where the surgeons rehearsed on these models before doing surgery on their patients. We have traction in the industry with industry leaders. So our clients are top medical device companies as well as hospitals. We've marketed to over 25 hospitals in the US. Till date, we have $500,000 in sales. Next slide. So even NASA has endorsed our technology. Last week, we were at the NASA iTec competition where we were recognized as one of the top leading technologies in medicine on Earth, and they're trying to find ways to take this to space. So with that, I would like to thank you for your time, and thank you.
Good job. And that's some pretty amazing stuff there. So you can grow me something, right? All right. This thing is getting real in the technology space, man. I'm serious. They are literally harvesting and it's all good. I mean, this is what we should be expecting, right? And not getting all scary, saying it's the end of the days, just tripping about things. It's okay. Technology is welcome, right? Can you imagine walking around with one of those big cell phones nowadays? I mean, imagine trying to text with one of those big jokers. All right, y'all getting slow again. I don't know if it's the hour or what, but You need some more sugar. Get some more sugar. Well, wake up, okay? We're almost through this. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's welcome LYS to present.
Hello, everyone. My name is Festus Amoye. I founded Laddering Your Success after my mother and father died while I was in high school, and that made the college-going experience very difficult. You can imagine depression, anger, frustration, lack of guidance. But throughout my life, I've been blessed with men and women who supported me. And in my post-secondary process, I was able to earn over $87,000 worth of scholarships and grants. And I've been able to help other people earn over $450,000 worth of scholarships, grants, and student loan reimbursement. Now, I've taken those lessons and the things I learned and I put them in a book, and my wonderful team that supported me has taken this book and put it into a workshop. And it's going to be available for schools next semester. And we want to take this and make it an online platform that will be available all around the world, because there's not a single student that should lack support, that should lack help, that should lack what they need in order to graduate. So I thank you all very much for your time. The way that you could partner with us is by either purchasing a book, helping by purchasing a workshop, or by go ahead and partnering with us strategically. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next presenter, Spin That. Hey.
Single parent home, financial hardships, working multiple jobs. That was my childhood. Fast forward, my husband and I found ourselves in over $100,000 worth of debt. We decided that we wanted to take control back of our lives and get out of debt by leveraging Dave Ramsey's principles. When we became debt-free, SpinDebt was born. SpinDebt is a financial technology company designed to assist people in paying off debt by leveraging micropayments through everyday transactions. It's simple, it creates discipline, it's automatic. You can focus on debt, you can leverage savings, you can spread it to investing. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you pay off debt? One micropayment at a time. Who's ready to spend away their debt?
Thank you. Our next pitch, Obella B. All right. Make them feel welcome, y'all. Y'all gotta make them feel welcome.
Hello, my name is Viviana Lebio. I am a co-founder of Obella. Obella B is a company that came out of a problem that needed to be solved. Imagine being pregnant for the first time, or your partner being pregnant, and imagine losing the baby. Imagine the devastation, but there's a solution to that. So this happens every single day. My sister lost 4 pregnancies within 2 years, and this happens every single second. The solution, Obella B, a wearable that helps a pregnant woman monitor her health all throughout her pregnancy, checking blood pressure, temperature, heart rate of the mom and the baby. And this provides data for the doctor and something for the mom to just have that peace of mind to know that you're okay and you're going to bring this precious baby into the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next pitch, My Crop. Put your hands. Again, together for My Crop. Thank you.
Athletes are the crown jewel of all communities around the world. Technology allows us to revolutionize different things, but who's going to revolutionize youth sports? Do you know who this is? This is Messi, at 16 years old. Who found this individual? How did they find him? What was the recruiting process? Messi is known throughout the world, but yet somewhere there's an athlete that's hidden. Small city, large city, halfway across the world. Who's going to find them? At Minecraft Sports, our vision is to find hidden athletes and connect them to colleges and universities across the world so they can become an amazing scholar athlete. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next pitch is Cat's Water.
So, Cat's Water Technologies, we're wrestling with water challenges daily. Earlier we talked about Space City, we're also the medical center, and we're also the energy capital of the world. We're working in the plays, $20 billion. And what we're doing is we're tackling the produced water problems, both the treatment, the disposal, and the saltwater disposal wells increase seismicity. So what we're doing is we're helping oil and gas operators with their cost. Our team is from IP patent lawyer all the way through people that help and have been in the industry for over 50 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our final pitch is exploitation tech.
Explosion!
Oh, explosion tech. All righty. All right. I got to get it right.
Thank you. I think they saved the best for last. I look good? Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Isis Ashford, and I am the co-founder of Explosion Technology, and this is Keelan Swain, the other co-founder of Explosion Technology. We focus on the 301 professional basketball athletes. Unfortunately, 30% of these athletes will get injured at the end of the year. That's $500 million just sitting on the benches. That's not what recruiters and coaches invested millions of dollars into. But what if I told you I could predict the unpredictable? What if I told you I could predict soft tissue injuries for the lower extremities? Wow. Right? Explosion Technology has created an injury prediction analytics platform leveraging wearables to reduce ACL tears and ankle sprains by 20%. That is the same pitch I use for University of Miami and the Miami Heat, who represent 2 of our 11 customers. We currently just closed $20,000 in sales in Q4 and projected to triple that in Q1. If you're interested in learning more, come see me and my lovely co-founder, Keelan Swain. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was awesome. All right. Let's give all of our pitches a wonderful round of applause. All right, so we're going to move on. We have another presenter who will be speaking to us today, and I got to meet him on the way in. So are you all right? Everybody okay here today? I said, are you okay? Yes. Are you enjoying the event today? Yes. All right, that's wonderful. We have a speaker who will be coming for us, Miss Rian Davies. Ms. Davies possesses over 10 years of experience in supply chain management, deal delivery, and operations within the oil and gas industry, including the development of global sourcing strategies and leading high-profile negotiations with major international industry players. Rian has lived and worked in over 6 countries and holds a BSc in Management Science from Warwick Business School in UK. Help us to receive Miss Rian Davis.
Wow, it's always amazing when somebody reads your bio and you haven't heard it in ages and you're like, really? Did they say that? Oh, it's a highlight to follow.
Okay, so actually I'm going to pivot a little bit. You heard about my history. It's all kind of in oil and gas, great. And about 7 or 8 months ago, I did a major career move and moved to work for a crowdfunding platform, a Houston-based crowdfunding platform that works in equity. So I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of background about that, but what I really want to focus on today is, in fact, let me stop a sec. How many people in the room here are entrepreneurs? Raise your hands. Okay, great. And how many people in the room are currently looking for funding for their business? Okay. Who here has got funding for their business? We've got like two or three hands. And who here is an investor? Okay, we've got like 3 people. So I made the pivot about 8 months ago, and I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but the Jobs Act changed things in 2012. So they brought in crowdfunding, and they brought it in with Kickstarter, and they allowed accredited investors to invest on platforms, and you had GoFundMe. And then there was this great moment when Oculus came on Kickstarter, and Oculus raised $2.5 million, I'm not sure if anybody's aware, by giving everybody a signed picture of their CEO. Oculus then sold to Facebook 2 years later for $2 billion. And everybody's like, well, wait a sec, where's my money? You know, I gave you money for a signed picture of your CEO. And so the government realized they needed to make some changes, and they changed it with the Jobs Act in 2016 to let anybody invest in businesses. So our platform, and there's many others as well, works in equity crowdfunding. And so we allow anybody to invest in businesses, so they get shares or convertible notes, or there's debt platforms as well. And from the investor side, we allow investors another opportunity to invest their money, or invest in their community, or invest in small businesses, so portfolio investments. So with that being said, I have a wealth of knowledge on crowdfunding, different types, how it's evolved, what you should look for if you're a business looking at it, how you can put that together with other funding strategies. So really, if we've got another mic, I'd like to kind of open it up and ask people what do they want to know. If they could kind of sit down and say, okay, I'd like to know this, or how it works like this as a business or as an investor.
Hello, and thank you for this opportunity. So the SEC has rules regarding accredited and non-accredited investors. I assume through this platform you would have to be accepting a lot of money from non-accredited investors. And how does that work with SEC exemptions from?
So for those of you in the room who aren't aware of the difference between an accredited and a non-accredited investor, an accredited investor also go by the name of angel business investors. But they are people who have over 200,000 in income a year, or 1 million in assets, or they have joint income with their spouse of over 300,000. So that's what we talk about when we talk about accredited investors. These are the ones that you see in all the angel networks, and the ones that you see in all of the platforms that cater solely to accredited investors. So, to answer that question, the non-accredited investors, yes, we do take them on our platform. The SEC's law in 2016 allowed non-accredited investors to invest. So they can invest up to a certain amount depending upon their income levels that's controlled by SEC.
Is there a minimum or a maximum that you can actually raise on y'all's platform?
So it entirely depends on platforms. So it's platform specific. I would say if you are looking at crowdfunding as an option for your business, do your research on the platform, make sure it's the right thing for your business, but make sure it's the right platform for your business, the right structure. Our platform has a minimum of $250. We want to make it affordable for essentially what we call the next generation of investors to be able to invest in and support businesses. But every platform is different depending on their minimum. I think some set at 1,000 or 2,000. Obviously, if you're going for an accredited platform or a platform that's playing in what's called Regulation A or Regulation D, which is for accredited investors, it's obviously much higher.
So Oculus Rift is a good example of a success story, but venture capital is one of the hardest jobs to achieve, or to maintain even. And the reason for that is because it's not successful. I mean, even venture capitalists are only successful a small fraction of the time. So why would an individual investor want to spend their money when they really can't evaluate the company effectively without talking to the founders, without knowing the business model, they can see a pitch deck. That doesn't really show the dedication of a company. How would an individual investor see that in your platform?
That's a great question, and I think it depends entirely on the investor, but also a changing in culture. And I'll kind of address it in three ways. So firstly, you're right on venture capitalists. They do a great job. And what you actually see on trends in the market is that angel investors actually come in first at the moment on investing in small businesses. And you see a downward curve as VCs come in at a later stage of risk. So what we're doing is trying to open up more capital to that early stage. We don't do the due diligence. What we do is we actually work with a number of different organizations to put together what we call kind of next generation investor series, where we're trying to actually teach those investors to do the due diligence. Another option for them actually is to join some sort of network when they're at that stage, and we do see that different venture networks, different kind of angel networks, are starting to try and open up to that non-accredited investor that's kind of almost there, to teach them how to invest as a group. But it is something that you're entirely right that we're trying to tackle as well and make sure that people are informed and they are educated on it.
I think the follow-up to that, so you were saying that angel networks, they're developing angel networks, because that's sort of a question as a company. Why would I don't want to present for someone who's going to offer me $500. That's just not worth the time, especially for a company that's relatively deep into the stage of funding. So are you planning on having your platform crowdsource money almost for it?
No,
one pitch, or how does that?
So apologies. When I say angel networks, I'm saying that we're seeing angel networks form with non-accredited investors as well as accredited investors. So I can name a couple here in Houston that have both accredited and non-accredited investors. So we're seeing that as a trend to kind of bring them on. Because if you do invest in a group, you are supposed to be, I think the stats are, you're 4% successful if you invest on your own as an angel, and 24% more successful if you invest as a network. So we are working to try and bring on that education piece, but we're not working to crowdsource that. One thing we do, or we are looking at doing, and this is a kind of side thing, is actually allowing for pitch events like this, if people are interested in investing, allowing them to invest in the room and the companies on the platform, which is also being done at the moment in Silicon Valley.
Let's give Ms. Ladies another hand. Thank you, Ms. Ladies. Our next speaker, Sam Alexander, Concept to Consumption, C2C, Fashion and Technology, is an Austin, Texas-based business providing its clients with access to a revolutionary fashion ecosystem. C2C is the vision of industry veteran Samuel Alexander. By coupling more than 3 decades in fashion with his experience leveraging technology, Alexander positions his clients to take advantage of the ever-evolving fashion industry. His latest creation, C2C, is a global fashion and technology ecosystem. C2C, Fashion and Technology Enterprise, is focused on reinventing the fashion industry through a unique integration of fashion, technology, medical, and the arts. Our company endeavors not only to develop domestic production, but also to do so in an ecologically sound and technologically progressive way. Simply stated, our goal is to be the leaders in fashion technology, focusing on nano and biotechnology, smart fashion. Please put your hands together and help us receive Mr. Alexander, Sam Alexander.
Here tonight, today or afternoon. I know you're all tired, and I'm going to make it fast and go through some things. Our company came into existence about 1.5 years ago. Our industry had collapsed. The fashion industry had gone through a lot of transition, and I'm sure all of you have seen in the press how many companies have gone out there. So I had to reinvent myself, and what I saw was a growth in the nanobiotech industry for fashion, because there was a lot of engineers that didn't have the ability to do their prototyping or production, or didn't have the experience to actually manage their businesses once they did bring a product to the market. Next slide. We focus in on building the product, prototyping, then actually doing the production and bringing the product to the U.S. Right now, think about it if fashion wasn't just for the concept of wearing it or looking great in it. Think about about if we had intelligent fashion. And that's what we're working on now, is intelligent fashion. We focus in on transforming the fashion industry through the unique technology medical integration. We create IoT fashion. Next slide, please. We focus in on STEAM. Everybody says STEM, but STEAM, we have to have the arts, because in our industry, the creative part of it comes from the arts. So we're really focused in on the STEAM part. We also are looking at it from a human resource perspective. Right now, we need to work from turning people into robots and letting the robots have the jobs and letting the people be the creative aspect of the formula. So that's what we're focused on in the STEAM process. The focus is global decentralization collaboration. Y'all have to bear with me, I'm at the end of my day today already. Next slide. I have created an ecosystem with technology. We have an ERP, CRM, and a social platform that basically integrates our complete industry in one system, and it's seamless. I'm basically doing software as a service that runs your business from the time of conception, which we do tech packs, CAD technology, your production, your invoicing, your warehousing, and then we have on the back end credit. We have looked at the human resource. We had in Austin, the city of Austin put an agenda together to make Austin the capital of fashion. When the report came back, they found that we needed to bring everybody up to speed as far as with the new technology. And the only way that we could make Austin the capital of fashion was to use technology to do that. So Austin is known for music, it's known for technology, and now we're going to make it known for fashion. The first thing we did was we organized and we started incubators within the universities and high schools. And right now we have a complete advanced manufacturing facility built out at ACC, and it's the first of its kind in the world. And it'll be open in January to go. That's our goal, is to actually build out these facilities throughout the state right now. And we're also building on top of it with cryptocurrency and using artificial intelligence. Next slide, please. Within our platform, as I said earlier, we do social media, ERP, and the CRM. Next slide. Our system we have a collab in Austin for our clients to come in. What we do is, after everyone has developed their products here, they come to us and we do the production, manufacturing aspect of it. We have within the ecosystem, we have 150 social networks integrated into the CRM. We have 32 languages that it translates into, and we have live broadcasting and live video chat built into the system. The program itself, right now we're in over 100 countries in 32 languages. We have over 2,000 factories online now. We just finished building out the C2C virtual shop, which we're actually using augmented virtual reality and mixed reality. Next slide, please. 8 disruptive technologies are critical for the transformation of our industry. Obviously, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, digital trackability, 3D printing, and blockchain. Next slide. Right now, our blockchain is being set up, and it's basically being set up to manage our supply chain, our intellectual properties, product authentication, marketing and branding tools, blockchain factoring and finance, and then also the contracts. Next slide. AI, we're using AI for marketing, purchasing, and purchase recommendations, marketing intelligence, trend predictions, robotics, product customization, customer service, quality control, and you can go down the list there. We've got a lot of things that we're using AI for. Next slide. This is what a tech pack looks like from our original tech packs. This was one of the first wearable technology tech packs that we did, and you can see some of the technology there is very old, but that's what was available at that time, so we had to use what was in the market to create these products. Right now, we've got everything from printed circuitries to smart fibers. We've got chips that we can actually monitor everything on your body. Next slide, please. Our goal right now is to collaborate, organize, innovate, and accelerate. Our also goal is to organize government, business, education, and finance. Next slide. Our first collaboration that we've done is in Austin, City of Austin, ACC, and Gerber Technology. And no, it's not the baby food company. Everyone always says it's at the baby food company. Gerber Technology does all the CAD technology for the aerospace industry, the car industry, and the fashion industry. We have an incubator in Austin that's an advanced facility that we just built for $14 million. We are starting classes now. We just got a degree program that's been set up for fashion on an associate level. Next slide. This is we took and rehabbed a mall, a Holland Mall, and we turned it into a pod. There's going to be condominiums, businesses, and then the interior of it will be education facility based on STEM, and the second phase is based on STEAM. This is a very progressive way of thinking to bring everything into one area and let that become the nucleus and let it all start integrating into each other. Next slide. This is what it looks like now. We've just had it finished, and I said we spent $14 million building this out, and we're starting up on a second one, and it's also a makerspace, so it's actually a complete factory. This space here has a capacity to produce $5 million worth of product. Next slide. We have just started on a second project at Texas A&M. The government just gave A&M 600 acres in Killeen. It's a 2-year school. We've incorporated this 2-year school into ACC with the fashion area, and we're starting a new degree that will be available in 2019. It'll be a mechanical fashion technology engineering degree, bachelor degree. It'll be the first of its kind in the world. So we have got the complete ecosystem finished now from the high schools, which we started incubators there, all the way through to a bachelor's degree. Now we're expanding into other schools, which I can't say who they are right now because we're on negotiation, but we've got 3 more incubators set up for Austin and 1 for Houston. The one here in Houston will be over 100,000 square feet of makerspace. So what we're doing is we're going to give you the factories that once you come up with your ideas, you'll be able to make your products here because our goal is to reshore industry back to the United States. Next slide. Everything that we're working with now will be based on decentralization, which is going to increase the speed to innovation. We also want to be collaborating, and IPC is one of our biggest collaborators. And what we're doing up front, we're setting the standards up front for wearables so that we're not having to go back and do like what the phone system did with all the extra accessories. Every time you change phones, you have to buy new products. We're setting standards up front, so all these things will be interchangeable. IEEE is one of our other partners that we work with, and they do give us a lot of information and work with us on developing concepts. And then IFAI is the International Fiber Association. I was just here with NASA. It was just in Dallas with our convention there, and NASA was there with all their new products. And the IFAI is where all of the new textile and composite products are introduced to the world. Next slide. What we're looking at is innovating in the wearable area, and everything will be from AR to MR to VR, wearables, as far as shoes, t-shirts, jewelry, watches. That's all what we're building out now in Austin. Next slide. This is the ecosystem that we built to help everyone with their businesses. It's just a complete ERP that manages all your basic business functions that you'll be able to access as a software as a service. So as your business grows, you're able to expand your business within the system, and it has no limitations. This is an enterprise system. Next slide. Basically, our goal is preventive medicine. With all the wearables, we have every type of chip and fiber right now that we can monitor anything on your body. We also have the ability to 10 to the 9 or Bluetooth anything. And then we're also working with the smart city to integrate the smart wearables into the smart city. So this is the goal of what we're working towards now. This is our ultimate goal, is preventive medicine. What about preventive medicine versus catastrophe medicine? Next slide. Within the technology that we're going to be integrating into A&M, you're going to have medical textiles, conductive and metal fibers integration, composite And then we'll also be able to do all kinds of 3D knitting. Next slide. We are also building in avatars. These avatars will be, okay, I'm coming. These avatars will be used for biometrics, and we'll be able to scan and create your avatars. Next slide. These are some of the products we're focusing on: is solar beads, fiber optics, and all types of sensors. Keep going. Next slide. We're also integrating new fibers that are crystal fibers called Imana. Imana is a fiber that will collect, we're doing energy harvesting. It will harvest the heat from your body and turn it into infrared, and it eliminates cellulite in women. Next slide. This is some of the things we've already done. You just keep going. Next slide. Broadcast shirt. We've got a GPS shirt. Next slide. This is a signal shirt with motion detectors in the sleeve. Next slide. We have fiber optics. We did a lot of LED right now. Now we're moving to complete fiber optics. Next slide. This is a solar-powered handbag that also does all your product charging of your products. Next slide. And basically, within ACC, we have also included a bioscience incubator. Next slide. We can keep going. The last big part of what I want to do is talk about MR. Mixed reality is where we're moving to from VR. I've been in virtual reality, we're moving to MR, which we can actually bring this facility anywhere in the world and make you a part of. Thank you.
Very good stuff. We're going to have come before us. We're going to accelerate so we can get out on time. We have coming before us, just briefly, Ms. Iyabo, who will be sharing with us about our CoSpace and our 360s here. Thank you.
I just want to thank you again for coming out to iTec. iTec has been brought to you by Innovation Depot as well as NuWorld Epicenter. Innovation Depot is actually our business and technology incubator. The main purpose and goal of this incubator is to keep diversity and collaboration at the forefront of innovation that is coming out of Houston. We're able to accomplish this by supporting our incubating companies, whether they are startups or established businesses, with mentorship, advisory, as well as resources, actual resources. So I just want to speak about our memberships that we have available. So they range from simply floating memberships, such as co-working spaces where you'll have access to collaborative spaces, and you'll also have access to suites, dedicated suites, when you are actually working with our technology and business mentors and advisors. Right now, we're actually offering a 10-hour membership in which you'll have access to all of the amenities that we offer here for just $99. So I want to also remind you all that we have the badges that we've printed out for all of our attendees. If you haven't received your badge, please make sure that you check the table out the door to the right. It's sort of a memorabilia and a thank you for coming out and being a part of our iTec competition and our iTec event tonight. And if you have any other questions about our memberships, about the 360 memberships, or even the 10-hour membership that we are offering you all tonight, then you can speak to a staff member such as myself. You can just look at our badges, or actually speak to someone at our 360 membership table. Thank you.
Thank you, Iyabo. All right, and now for our pitch winners. First, on the 1-minute pitches, we have 3 who won on the 1-minute pitches. Starting out with Explosion Tech. All right. Our second 1-minute pitch winner is Lazarus 3D. And our third 1-minute pitch winner is Spindead. Y'all can do better than that. Get them a hand. They're working hard on these projects. That's right. Make people feel good about what they're doing. So now for our 3-minute pitch winners, which was pretty heavy. We started with our 3rd place runner-up. Or would that be considered runner-up? 3rd place.
Second runner-up. Second runner-up.
It would be second runner-up? Okay, second runner-up. Thank you for the correction. It's intense. I want to make sure I create the ambiance of intense. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is Aquafix 3rd place? Give him a hand. You can do better than that. Really. And then our runner-up, 2nd place, Food Garage. And for our 1st place prize winner, right? Put your hands together, make them feel real good in this moment. Cruising. Y'all do better than that. Come on now. Don't be haters, be motivators. All right, so we want to thank you so much for coming out. We have just, I don't see him in here. Where's Mr. Amos? First of all, we want to thank you all so much for coming out tonight and spending a day with us today. Let's give Mr. Wesley Okeke a hand. Please. Mr. Andre Amos a hand. And Innovation Depot and Croatian Labs. At this time, it is my great privilege and great honor to present to you, for some of you who may not know, this space that we're in comes out of the mind of a great visionary in our midst. This whole New World movement is what we call it. This New World platform is a platform dedicated to the creatives, dedicated to helping people to become successful in business, committed to providing an ambiance, a feel, if you will, energy, where you're uninhibited in your ability to be successful. I want you to put your hands together and help me to receive our CEO here at the NuWorld Epicenter. All that you see here and all that is happening here comes out of his mind, Mr. Andre Amos. Put your hands together for Mr. Andre Amos.
This guy. Again, thank you guys for coming out. It was a lot of great pitches, really a lot of good stuff. We really appreciate everyone coming out to the first inaugural iTec. We look to have these every quarter. We want to make them bigger, better every time. We definitely want your input on how the whole overall experience was. If you could, please make sure that we had some badges made for everyone, some lanyards that we just wanted to give you as memorabilia. So if you could make sure you actually get yours on the way out. And again, I definitely want to thank Fruition Labs, Wesley, excellent job, Yusuf, excellent job, the whole NuWorld team. And again, long night. I appreciate you guys that lasted. Thank you.
Class is dismissed.